but I always tell this story because the same day I got let go
Mm-hmm.
was the same day my company flight closed on the 45 unit in Sacramento. And the same day I opened escrow on the single family house that I was purchasing with my family because we had a bigger family. We're looking for a bigger house.
And you had a new kid.
Yeah. So that all happened on the same day.
So why don't we jump into kind of the acute moment when you and I both,
Oh,
we'll say we're almost forced to jump into real estate full time.
yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so we, as you can kind of hear as you're watching and hearing us, like we had a plan. Both Sherwin and I had a plan, and we were driving and striving towards eventually leaving our jobs. But there were a couple acute moments where we had to really just flip the switch from, okay, this is a side hustle / an entrepreneurial endeavor,
Uh-huh.
into, okay, we're going full time. And it
Yeah.
was a very acute moment. So, Sherwin, you want to start with?
I was like,
Have
rock, paper, scissors.
you have your story is a lot better than mine, so I'll let you go first.
I like your story too, but okay, I'll go first. Well,
So what happened? This was 2020. Was this
yeah, this was last year.
early of 2020? Early
Yeah,
2020.
yeah,
You
yeah,
and I
right.
met late 2019.
Yeah,
We were
December.
both talking, or you were talking about leaving your job potentially, or at least setting yourself up to leave your job.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then COVID hits. It's
yeah,
early 2020. Let's take it from there.
yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, like my goal was to just take 6 months a year off and sort of
Yep.
prepping for that,
New kid
right?
on the
And
way.
then me and my partner, we started getting more deals. It started taking up more time to manage those deals, and we're scaling. And we're like, okay, this might be a potential shift. Like maybe we can do this more full time because now we're not reliant on like kind of like the going to 9 to 5 desk job like we mentioned earlier in the episode. So when my daughter was born last year, January 1st of last year, right? So I'm like,
Happy
okay,
New
cool.
Year's.
Yeah, yeah, New Year's Day. So we've been locked down since January 1st. This is before the pandemic kind of hit, right?
Yep.
This is last year, right? So she was born, and I'm like, okay, we're prepared, babe. I told my wife, okay, I asked my work, okay, what's the maximum paternity time I can take? They're like 3 months. Boom, apply for 3 months straight. Not even gonna think about it, right? Because I could break it up throughout the year. That's what I did with my son last year. But I was like, no, 3 months in the beginning. Boom. So I did that, right? And then, I was set to go back to work end of March. I guess, January, February, March, right? What happened at the end of March?
This thing called
this
COVID hit.
Yeah, this thing COVID-19 kind of hit, right? It started coming on February, March, and then a week before I was gonna go back to work, I think San Francisco or the Bay Area kind of shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we shut down early. And then I told my wife like, oh, cool, I get to stay home and work from home now. But even before that, I remember in February I contacted my work and I even asked them, hey, can I extend my leave? I wanted to extend it to like maybe June or July because my wife gets 6 months. So I wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
aligned with her. So we're both at home at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
raising our daughter. Right. So, and they denied it because they said it was like, maybe HR issues or, if they let me do this leave, they might have to let everybody else, do. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine, I'll come back to work. So I was even talking to IT while I was on paternity to set up my computer to work from home,
Yep.
download whatever you download, just so because I've been in the company for like over 5 years. I'm like, I just want to hit the ground running day one. I don't want to kill like day one of like
IT
IT stuff.
setup stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was cautious about that. I was like, okay, let me go, let me do it, get it all prepared to go. So a week before I was supposed to go back to work, my boss calls me. And I was like, this is when the pandemic, right? Shut
Yep.
down everything. He's like, sure, I'm sorry, but we have to make the hard decision, but we have to let you go. And I understood because it's a
Crazy.
business.
Yep.
And the projects that I was working on at that time, was a lot of, high-end hospitality. And I was in charge of like kind of like our office move, which
Mm-hmm.
was on hold or the hospitality all dried up.
Yeah.
Right. And, it's, I have
And just
nothing
as a
against
quick
hospitals.
reminder,
Yeah.
everyone, Sherwin's experience in life in the W2 world is as an architect.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I didn't
I
bring
think they know
that
that.
up.
I
Yeah.
think they should know that by now, but hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. So I was the architect back in the my W2 days, right? So, I have no hard feelings. I told him, dude, you guys have the hardest, toughest job, especially during these pandemic times. You got to make these crazy decisions because at the end of the day, it's what's best for business, right? And I
Yep.
think it's funny because on my Pinterest visualization board, it says something about like you should never love your office because you never know when your office will stop loving you,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, but
Yeah.
but I always tell this story because the same day I got let go
Mm-hmm.
was the same day my company flight closed on the 45 unit in Sacramento. And the same day I opened escrow on the single family house that I was purchasing with my family because we had you know, a bigger family. We're looking for a bigger house.
And you had a new kid.
Yeah. So that all happened on the same day. So here I
Yeah.
was, right? I I I got let go. I got this new property to manage, and now I just opened escrow in this single family home now without a W-2 job. And I remember going to my wife and telling all this, and she's like, "Can you wait till 30 days until we close? Can they can they wait because I was like, it's better if I needed my job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more beneficial if I had my job to get the loan.
Of
So I have to
course.
go back to the lender, and it's funny the lender said the same thing, but this might
Yep.
be another side story. So fast forward to today, blah 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 blah. You know, last year we bought like four other properties in my company. Well, five because I did close in this single family house. That's another story.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot about lending, buying my single family home without a W-2 job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's another tangent. That's another story. I can talk about my experience of that because it was, it was it wasn't the greatest experience, but I learned a lot,
Yeah.
and so forth. And and that's sort of kind of like my experience. It's sort of like, I was gonna take 6 months year off. I was gonna figure out last year, you know, do I really want to quit? Do I not? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of factors involved. I just got a new kid and this and that. I still want the stability of the income and want to have more time to prep before I maybe take the leap or take the
Mm-hmm.
jump. Right. It just so happened that COVID accelerated that process.
Yep.
And I was sort of like, I just thought to myself, like, maybe it's the universe kind of pointing me in a different direction or in that direction of like, hey, maybe you should just concentrate full time on your real estate investing because number one, you get to spend more time with your kids, you'll have more freedom of your time and all this stuff, and you've been getting some momentum.
Yeah.
I didn't have, I mean, I didn't have enough real estate to sort of replace my income at that time, like last March. I did have a lot of savings and whatever built up because I sold some few properties here and that to prepare myself to take at least 6 months a year off because that was the goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then I was like, okay, let's full stream ahead, full time into this real estate thing, and kind of just went from there. And before, like, we talk about like how's it going now, I mean, that's sort of like my story and my experience of like, my me being let go from my job and kind of just
You're
pivoting.
jumping to full-time real estate.
Yeah, just pivoting and just because now it's like, everything I do now, I'm not dependent on that salary now. But that's later on. It's sort of like preparing for, like things you should prepare for. I should look out for before you actually take that leap, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And your
Have
story,
a plan.
yeah, your
Yeah.
story is a little bit different than mine, right?
My story has some similarities,
Yeah.
but also a lot of differences too. So, same thing we talked about. We both were preparing for life outside of a W-2 job. We had the mindset, we had the plan, we had the routines. We were both building income streams outside of our W-2 jobs. But similar to you, the 2020 pandemic of COVID hit, and me being in the sports industry, our industry was hit very hard because it's a hospitality and entertainment world. So, with COVID being widespread around the nation, there were no longer sporting events with fans in the building, and that's literally what my job revolves around: hospitality, entertainment, and events in the sporting industry. So,
Mm,
um, I stayed with my job and through the tough times of March, April, May, June, and that summer. But come the fall of 2020, I was furloughed. Basically, what that means is you're not quite fired, but you're not going to be working with us, and you're not going to be earning any money. So it's like the only benefit was you still keep your benefits. So I
yeah, I was
still
gonna
had
ask you.
health.
You still get your
I
benefits.
basically had health and dental and all that stuff,
Mm,
but I was essentially laid off, and there was no timetable because we had no idea how
mm,
long it would take to get our nation vaccinated and sporting events back online with fans in. Luckily, we're talking here, and it's beginning of April, and sports are back online, and
mm-hmm.
venues are opening up to fans at limited capacities. So we've gone through the rough part, but I was furloughed and basically didn't have a job for 6 to 8 months there. And that was kind of also similar to how you were laid off, Sure, when I was furloughed, and that forced me into a decision, and it forced me into, okay, I think, this is a good question. Like, do you jump right back into a full-time job, or do you kind of bet on yourself and try and tackle your own entrepreneurial endeavors yourself? And so that was also, I think, the universe telling me to make a decision and giving me a clear cut, hey, you got there's a fork in the road. Which fork are you going to take?
Yeah.
And so initially, there's the ... at the end of our episode of transitioning full time to real estate and then back. But so I'm the back part. Ultimately, I bet on myself for a few months there and really tried to go full time into the world of real estate investing. So that was connecting with investors, operators, really building my network, trying to figure out where I could deploy some of my capital to just keep increasing my portfolio size. But I think the challenge for me is, again, back to being able to replace my full-time income. I wasn't able to do that at the stage of where my portfolio is at right now. So I own a couple properties in the Midwest that cash flow, and then equity in 4 syndications on the LP/GP side. But a lot of those deals we're still at the early stages, so they're not really paying out on a consistent basis. And so I found myself having to either dig into my savings or literally like take on a part-time job or drive some more DoorDash every day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite the lifestyle that I had wanted at that time. So back to coming. So long story short, furloughed last year, bet on myself for a few months, went the real estate route for a few months. And then literally about a month ago, my boss gave me a call and said, "Hey, Tyler, we need you back. Like, sports are opening back up. Industry's looking healthy again. Do you want to come in?" She called me on a Thursday night and said, "Hey, Tyler, can you start work on Friday?" And I was like, I need some time to think through this.
Yeah.
But I guess, so, okay, long story short, I'm back in a full-time job. Best decision right now for me at this time. I'd say my kind of goal was to, we'll call it, be financially free by 35. And when that still gives me, some time to get there. And really what I was thinking about is kind of, the benefits and advantages of my current situation. So I'm getting that full-time income. I have full benefits. We're working from home indefinitely. I'm able to still tackle a lot of my entrepreneurial endeavors. I'm not a big time GP operator like Sherwin yet, so I don't need to be working full time on.
I'm not big time GP operator like Sherwin either. Who's this Sherwin guy you keep talking about? That's a
Sherwin.
big operator.
So I guess I kind of weighed my options, and really right now, again, flexibility of working from home, full time income, ability to invest more money short term in my real estate endeavors and stock market with it being so hot has been benefits. And then I still haven't refinanced my properties yet, dude. So like, back to your point of having a W-2 job, that helps on the lending side a lot. So I'm going to finally refinance my properties. I'm debating on doing a cash out refi versus just a traditional refinance. But my properties, the portfolio that I own by myself out in the Midwest, those properties were all acquired around the 5% to 5.25% interest rate. So I know I can save some money quite a bit there if I had that full-time job to qualify for a refinance. So I mean, it's back to the beginning of this kind of episode. The goal is to, yes, be able to get away from a W-2 job and not have a boss if needed. But there's always still some benefits to it. And for me right now, it's the best situation to be in. And for Sherwin, full-time real estate is the best for his company and his growth. So there's no right or wrong answer. There's no need to really rush into leaving your job unless you utterly hate it. But I guess the learning lessons here for me were just be calculated, have a plan, take your time to really think through what the best options are. And the crazy thing to think about, Sherwin, is like, actually for both of us, the worst case scenario is that we go back to a 9-to-5 job. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I was gonna say like, I had this conversation with my wife. Hey, I got let go. I could go back and, back to architecture, or we could try out this, flight business, syndication business for a year or two and see where it goes. And I'm glad I have her support. She's like, do it, see where it goes. And we said, worst case scenario, like you mentioned, I go back to architecture. There's no harm in it. I think the key takeaway from your story, and there's no like going back to your job, is like, you know, I sort of told you this quote that I heard on the Joe Rogan. So like, jump when you can afford to drown,
I like that one.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can tell people, a lot of people here is like, oh, you got to quit you want passive income to replace your income, so you got to quit and do this full time. For some investors, you don't have to quit your job
No.
and invest in real estate. You can do both, and
Especially if you like your job and you like your
ex-
coworkers and you like what you're doing. There's no need to
exactly.
quit your job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like if you like your job, and if your job's flexible, especially in this post-pandemic world where working from home will become more of a benefit now, where you can work from home and still work on real estate investing on the side. You still have more. You have an extra more flexibility with that, so you don't have to quit your job. And like you mentioned before, like the benefits is financing.
Mm-hmm.
Like lenders love the W-2 job. Oh my gosh, I have to jump through hoops. I have to give like my blood sample and all this stuff to like get a loan. Like, hey, you spent like $2.50 at the convenience store, give us the
Yeah.
receipts, and what'd you do for it? Give us like your mileage when you drove there. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
you definitely got to. That's why I like doing hard money and private lending, but that's a different story. But you know if you like your job and you have a great income, you can still invest in real estate on the side. It's just the level of involvement that you want to take, and we can talk about more of this kind of like in our next episode, like the ideas of passive income and like the different types of real estate strategies and stuff, right? But just whatever matches your current lifestyle right now. Like for example, if you have a full-time job, Tyler, right? Maybe you buy more turnkey properties and you do less flipping, because flipping is more time consuming, vice versa. Or you do what our investors do. They have full-time jobs. They don't want to invest in real estate. They don't know how to invest in real estate. They don't want to take the time to do it. They invest in syndications, because an
Mm-hmm.
operator does, that's the beauty about syndications is, the operator does all the legwork, all the groundwork, get their hands dirty on behalf of the investors. So there's so many different avenues for you to adjust, per your lifestyle. Like for me now, I'm doing this full time. So, I can scale bigger. I can scale faster. I can do more networking calls.
Mm-hmm.
I can do more conversations with brokers, lenders, find more deals and all. Whereas before, I've had a full-time job, I will be limited in my time frame of when I can expand and do that. So, it's a give or take. It's definitely a risk. And I think I posted this thing on LinkedIn the other week. Is actually on my 1 year anniversary from when I got let go. I posted like, it was a quote from Mr. Wonderful. He's like, a salary is the drug they give you to forget your dreams. And it's funny because
Crazy, man. It's so
before I
true
saw this,
though.
yeah, before I saw this video, I actually had like this, on my Pinterest board, like that, like on my vision board. It's one of the Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matthew McConaughey,
Great
when
movie. Great
that
movie.
scene.
Yep.
So it's that scene. It's a still shot of that scene, but it said, similar to the other quote, it said, a salary is the bribe they give you to forget your dreams. And I thought about that. I was like, and there's nothing wrong with about having a salary, you
Yep.
know, like it says, like you get it. It's steady income. It's great. You go there, you mitigate your risk because the employee is taking all kind of like the risk for you, right? You kind of go in, do your job, come back out. You're doing, as long as you do a job, you get promoted, you get higher income, you get higher status, you get maybe a parking spot. Well, that's like in the 80s, right? Or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with working, working. And there's also, nothing wrong being entrepreneurial, an entrepreneur, going that lifestyle and so forth. But there's a lot of risks involved. And I don't know if there's any, before we kind of talk, there's an article I saw about like sort of like the 10 risks of being an entrepreneur. But I don't know if you want to add anything, beforehand, before we sort of
No,
talk about kind of like the risks.
no, I think I do like the quote that you mentioned from the Wolf of Wall Street or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it is true, man. That's again, that's why a lot of society is attached to the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I guess the last point I'll bring up is for your experience and my experience, the whole layoff slash furlough experience. unfortunately for a lot of people, I think would have been a negative experience.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people do rely on that income,
Yeah.
and I think luckily, hopefully our watchers and listeners are setting themselves up to, not fall to that crazy risk of relying just on your W-2 job as your income
Yeah.
source. Hopefully you're setting yourself up right now with some investments in the stock market or real
Hmm.
estate. But I think the great thing is you and I saw that furlough slash layoff as not a negative. It was actually a positive. It was like, okay, this is our chance to take an opportunity and bet on ourselves
Hmm.
and, really start striving towards and working towards that dream of ours and that end goal, like starting with the end in mind. So
Yeah.
it kind of
Yeah.
it kind of forced us into a situation that we were maybe uncomfortable at first, but
Yeah.
it made sense for us. So I guess, lessons learned slash biggest points I want to bring up is a couple things, like set yourself up, prepare for life outside of a W-2 job if that's what your dream and goal is,
Yeah.
by setting yourself up with investments outside of your W-2 job. Like don't rely just on that income source,
Yeah.
and then take those opportunities not as negatives but positives, and try and propel yourself into kind of the track of what does your ideal life look like. So I mean that's pretty much my last bullet points on that topic.
Yeah, yeah. No, you brought up all great points, and just understand the risks involved, right? Like, you're not going to get that steady paycheck. You're kind of relying cash flow on your business. And whatever your business is, there's market demand and time as well. Starting up a business takes away time from your family and your friends. But the beauty about it is you're in control of that time. So for me, I work around my family schedule. Family time is a priority first. I work around them. Maybe I'll put my kids to bed and I still work late at night, answer all my emails and get stuff done at night. Morning time is them, and in between I work and so forth. So, you know, time and health, because emotionally it's health and emotion is kind of the same thing. We're kind of dealing with the stress because you're not relying on a boss, an employee anymore. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna get, like, in that one video I posted on LinkedIn, if you want, you can add me on LinkedIn, you see that video. It's like there's gonna be those dark times being an entrepreneur where you're gonna feel you're at rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you react to that and how you pick yourself up from that is what counts, right? And that's sort of what that's what drives being an entrepreneur. And what even drives you even more, even me, is that this is my business, and you know my business, my kids are dependent on this business to put food on the table and pay the bills and so forth. So that mindset is like, my time is valuable. Every minute I do, every time I spend on, should be spent on improving the business, bringing value, and just being supportive, whatever supports my family. And at the same time, you know still have that time. The beauty about it is, like, time is the currency that you can't bring back. That's that one currency that you can't bring back, and I found that more valuable ever since I had a family and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And and that's the one thing about me being in business, and investing in real estate, to build up that passive income so that I can free up more of my time.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, you know my gist of kind of like, the benefits of kind of, transitioning full time into, not just whatever business you're doing, but specifically to real estate investing, because that's really a true way you can get, kind of passive income. Right.
That's a good transition to kind of what our next episode is going to look like. And
Mm,
it may not be 100% real estate related, but we are going to talk kind of about passive income sources and setting yourself up
mm,
to create, again, non full reliance on your W-2 job, if that's kind of what your goal is. But
yeah.
I think there's always the thing I remember, like I think Warren Buffett said, or maybe it's even there's a research out there, but most of the wealthiest people in this world all have at least 7 sources of income, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And that can be from a various different types of vehicles, whether that's passive investing in syndications or owning part of a portfolio of properties, or investing in the stock market, dividends, stocks. And I guess again, there's the wealthiest people in this on this nation all have multiple sources of income. And
Mm,
so our next topic is going to kind of dive into that. As me myself, I've always tried to strive to keep creating more income sources,
yeah.
and really diversify my income streams. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're a little bit better in that than me. Because my sources, I won't dive into, but it's kind of more real estate related, right? And we can talk about that, like the
yeah.
different kind of, like, the different types of ways to invest in real estate, because that's the
Yep.
beauty about real estate. There's so many different avenues to take
I
when you
mean, you could
invest
do
in real estate.
REITs, you could own properties yourself, you could do
Yeah,
syndications, you could do flipping, you could, I
you
mean,
know,
they're not
yeah,
all
there's so,
passive, but
yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
think
yeah, it's not really truly passive, right? But we can talk more about
we're
that
going
in
to
the
talk
next. Yeah,
through income streams
yeah.
on the next episode,
Mhm.
but I know that we're going to kind of end on one last question, kind
Yes.
of our fun bit. I still can't even figure out an answer to.
Yeah.
We have this question on our screen here. I don't even know how to answer that just yet.
Yeah, so
But
I kind of thought of this on my jog this morning, and I like kind of like throwing these random questions at you. But
my answer is not going to be good, man.
yeah. So question of the day or question of the show for Tyler. But like, so Tyler, if you weren't investing in real estate and you weren't doing what you're doing right now in your W-2 career, you know, what would you want to do, or what would you think your other
All right.
dream, I guess, what would you do?
Well, I'll give you two answers. My first answer will be not too specific and interesting, but I've always wanted to be in the business world, and so
Mm,
I know that if I weren't in real estate or my W-2 job, which is in the sports industry, I'd be pursuing some type of entrepreneurial endeavor. I would start some type of service business, probably not a product business, but some type of service business. Mainly because I've always just been drawn to the world of business and kind of seen my father as an entrepreneur and seen him as a role model. So I know it would be somewhere
mm,
in that business category. Again, not an exciting answer at all.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where my passions lie, and for whatever reason, I like to talk about sales, revenues, expenses, networking, relationships,
Mm,
projections like that. I just love talking about that kind of stuff. So it'd be definitely in that type of field.
yeah.
Um, but shoot, man, if I was a little taller, dude, I'd be in the NBA. I would be trying to get I don't know. I love sports playing or either on the business side,
Yeah.
but uh
Well, you'd be an NBA player,
I'll be
that's
an NBA
fine.
plair. There we
Yeah,
go.
or
I'll
if
be
not, you just
the I'll be yeah, I'll rep our Asian folks, and I'm half Japanese, so I'll be one of the Asian folks in the NBA. That's my dream.
see, that's cool. So like you went from like being a service, kind of business to like,
Service business
and it
to
and it
NBA
and
player.
it took you a little bit to like, this is play. Okay, you want to be an NBA player? That's fine. That's fine. I mean,
All right.
mine is not as exciting as yours, but when I
Actually,
was,
wait. Before I
oh,
go
sorry,
there, I will say, as a kid, now, no disrespect to what I'm going to say right now, but as a
yeah.
kid, my dream was to be a bus driver.
See, that's cool.
Boom.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean,
either a bus driver, service-based business owner,
yeah,
or NBA player. Those are
yeah.
my three options.
You know why? Probably as a kid, you're in that mindset. We talk about mindset with the wheels on the bus go around. So maybe we got to make nursery rhymes that goes,
Oh my gosh, that'll
the
be
the the
the new
the
intro
the,
video.
the real
It'll be us
yeah,
singing.
yeah, the real
Ooh,
estate
that reminds me. I think I might
syndication
know what you
makes
want to be.
money. What?
Sherwin,
Oh,
I think I
what?
might know what you want to be,
What?
but I'll let you answer it first. You go first.
Well, it's probably not what you're thinking, but
Probably
so
not,
like,
but okay, Sherwin, if you were not in real estate or architecture, what would you be doing?
so it's funny because when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an architect. Right. I love playing with Legos. And ever since I was like elementary, like fifth, sixth grade, I was like, I want to be an architect. I want to design my own house. And I always love designing. My parents wanted to be more technical, like engineer or doctor or whatever. But I was like, so that was always my dream. But, when I went to college, so I went to college down in LA, and my first job was at an office in Burbank, right across the street from Warner Brothers Studio, right across the street from Disney Studios, 10 minutes away, 10, 15 minutes away from Universal Studios, Universal Studios, right? So I thought it'd be kind of cool, to be kind of like in the movie or television kind of industry, right? And I had met people that I work with that work in kind of set design. And back then, because I was in that kind of like Hollywood scene, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I could work on film or television. And I was really, I'm kind of like a Star Wars nerd, not crazy, but I used to get all the concept books, the art books, the model
Mm.
making books of, Star Wars. I was like, oh, it'd be so great if I could do like set design for something like Star Wars or like a cool television show or something. So I mean, sort of architecture, but it'd be great for me to do kind of like in film. And I used to edit my snowboard videos. I love editing. I did
Oh
editing
yeah.
back in the day. So I used like Adobe Premiere and did all that. And that was kind of fun. So I kind of did that on the side. So, oh, it'd be great to do an editor. And I was like, oh, that's kind of time consuming. So I was like, maybe transition more to like maybe a producer or more like a director, kind of like, pointers and this and that. So I thought, maybe if I wasn't doing architecture or investing, it'd be great to kind of get in the film industry, and that, one of my favorite shows is Entourage, right?
Oh
So I don't
yeah.
know if yeah. So it's like, oh, dude, I want that lifestyle. That's one way for me to get passive income. I make one movie and get royalties, or
Bring
one
those
TV show
royalties
and
in,
get
man.
royalties in. But
Oh
yeah,
man.
I mean,
I thought
you
you were
know,
gonna go the direction of wanting to be a DJ actually.
Oh, so, yeah, well, yeah.
So
Those
that
those are those are my some of my many other passions back in the day in college. And I mean, I still can do it. Like I ship all my stuff home from Hawaii when I moved to Shanghai, and I told my wife, when next time we go back, since we have a bigger house now, I'm bringing it all back, and I'm gonna be a Twitch streamer.
I think you should definitely do it, man.
Well,
Follow your dreams, dude.
yeah, we're
Follow your
joking.
dreams.
Yeah, we're joking around. Next time here, like I'll set my tables up here, and then like I'll be mixing while we're talking
You're
about
for
real
sure
estate.
gonna be doing our next intro video. That's
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
But I'm a old school. I'm a dated old school DJ. I have like real,
Records.
real vinyl. I don't use
I,
Serato or all that. I don't even know how to use all that.
I gotta say something, Sherwin. I don't even know how to play a record.
You just put it on, put the
I
needle
don't
on,
even.
press.
I'd see. I've never done that. I don't even know how to do that. So.
Do you know? I say this every episode. I always forget how young you are. Do you even know what like a CD?
Oh
Like a
yeah.
CD?
We had CDs back in the day, dude. I
I
had
don't know.
I had a Walkman.
You know what a cassette player is?
I had yeah. My earliest memories of music were I would sit at the radio and record my favorite songs on a cassette player. So I'm not super young.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s, but
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say my earliest, music memories is Britney Spears. I'm like, man, you're hella young.
well,
But
with
anyways,
that, I think that might be the wrap of our episode.
yeah. So we're gonna transition to becoming a full-time DJ, and you're like an NBA player. That's sort of the gist of the
NBA player,
episode. Sorry, guys.
DJ, and that's our last episode, I guess.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just want to thank everyone for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't know.
Like and subscribe. Hit the like button. Subscribe.
Yeah, I'm not sure
do
we're
your
supposed to
thing.
be
I don't know where we are.
to.
We're still newbie YouTubers, so
Yeah,
we're
so give us some
learning as we
time.
go.
Yeah, if you guys, enjoy this conversation, that's always our goal, to kind of educate, inspire, motivate, and hopefully entertain
Yeah.
while we're doing this. And we look forward. Comment down below. Let us know which direction we take the show, what topics you want to talk about, and we'll dive into it. We'll have some guests too. These first couple episodes just kind of me and Tyler kind of like, introducing ourselves, laying the groundwork, getting you hearing our journey. So, kind of, you know, feel comfortable listening to us, I guess, or trust us. I don't know. But yeah, we'll go for there. But great episode. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. So Tyler, it's been real.
It's been real, Sherwin.
That was kind of fake. Yeah, that was kind of fake. But anyways, all right, guys. See you guys in the next episode.
See you, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.